All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the AI Masterclass. I will be your host today. Most of the heavy lifting is done by some of my colleagues over there and Felipe, wherever he is. Our aim today is to give you all a little bit of a view, show, and feel of AI and what we're doing and how you can actually use AI. So before we start, let's just go into this. So if anyone needs translations, this AI translation translates into, I think, 60 plus languages. If you need any translations from my English, please use the QR code. I can see some phones up, so I'll just give it a second for everyone to use that. Great. Okay, so as I said, I'm your host today. My name is Abhinav. I've been with Geotab for about 7.5 years, and I'm responsible for a team of engineers across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. You will be hearing from some of them today, and they'll show you what we've actually built and created using AI, the smart ways to use AI. But before we go into anything, let's just do a little bit of a crowd warmer here. So this new kind of term that I've been using a lot in most of the talks that I do is AI fatigue. And it may be contradictory to what we're going to speak about today, but how many of you in this room have heard of AI fatigue? Few hands. And how many of you have AI fatigue? Nice. I had a feeling you'd raise your hand. So AI fatigue is basically, the human brain is something that keeps thinking about different things, and with AI today, we can actually build those things. So I actually go over weekends sometimes when my kids thinking of ideas, and then I go into my laptop on a Sunday evening and type stuff in. But what I'm trying to say basically is it's the human brain that actually drives the outcomes of what AI can create for you. So hopefully this session helps you all think about different things that we can do. What we're going to do today in terms of an agenda is I'm just going to do a little bit of an opener here for 5-6 minutes, and then we go into production today from some of our solution engineers and data scientists on what we can actually build. They'll show you some real examples of things that we've actually built for some of our customers. We'll have a short networking break that is mainly just for Felipe to come and get set up, because on his laptop he's going to probably do some live demos. He's also going to show you some nice results of things that customers have actually built. So that's basically for that. Felipe will be taking the chunk of this. Felipe is our AI advocate, and he's here to seduce you all into the art of the possible when it comes to AI. And then we just close out, and I'll give you a little bit of what we've taken away today, as well as what's coming up in the agenda. So let's just kick it off now. So the vibe shift. So the main thing with the vibe shift is that your fleets are generating millions of data points. Now, it's difficult to go through that much of data. There are insights, of course, but we want to give everyone a little bit of an inspiration on how you can actually use that yourself, and the old tools don't keep up. So manual coding takes weeks to ship. SQL queries requires entire teams of people looking into different queries. And eventually, like I mentioned with AI fatigue, the human is sometimes the bottleneck, but the human brain is not the bottleneck. What you can think of, you can actually do now and get done. The vibe coding is, if you look at two different comparisons, the old way was writing every line, knowing the rules and the syntaxes and the code, and debugging line by line. With vibe coding, you are describing the outcome of what you want. So I would like to achieve X with the data that I've got to solve Y problem. You are the architect, and AI is the executor of this. And this is exactly what vibe coding is. And you'll see some really cool examples when we get into that in a second. Why does this matter for your fleet? We have more chairs coming. Rick is running a fleet of chairs. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, team. Thank you very much. So Geotab, we ship new features much faster. So we are using this, all our developers, all our scientists, engineers are using AI now on an everyday basis. In fact, we have this amazing tool that we use internally as well, and that helps us get to problems quicker and solve problems quicker. There are more complex questions now that you can actually pose to AI. So you may have a particular unique situation that your specific fleet has, which may not be on a core product line from any telematics company, but you can actually use that problem you have with AI and solve that problem. And basically what happens is you don't replace the human, you multiply the effect that that human can bring to the table. And we're moving from writing instructions to describing outcomes. This is kind of the message that I would like to leave you with. Now I'm going to call on a few of my colleagues to come on stage and show you some real life examples. So Ron, I think, is first. Where's Ron? There you go.
Thank you, Abhi.
over to you, Ron.
Okay, guys, so vibe coding is great, but how can we start using vibe coding at Geotab? So we want to share some nice examples today. And vibe coding, let's start for MyGeotab, right? It's an open platform. You have an open API. So you can, but to start using that API, you need to learn how it works. You need to know if you want to get the odometer, you need to know what is the diagnostic for the odometer. If you want to, let's say, use fuel, you need to know what is the diagnostic for fuel. So there is a learning curve that you need to basically do, right, before I start using the MyGeotab API. MyGeotab add-ins is also another nice example of how to use bytecodings. MyGeotab add-ins. Who know what is MyGeotab add-ins? No one? Everyone? Okay, just for you to know, MyGeotab add-ins are basically extensions for MyGeotab to create or to build features that are not natively available in MyGeotab. So you can use the API to build those. And there is the old way and the bytecoding way. The old way, basically the Captain America way, right? They build the muscle, grinding, learn the method day by day, but it's slow, honorable, but it's slow, right? You have the blueprint, which is the SDK. You need to know how to use the ADK, and then you have the syntax. You need to know how to code. You need to know how to build the HTML, CSS, all that stuff. The bytecoding way, the Tony Stark way, now you have Jarvis, right? You have Jarvis. You don't need to know how to code. You just tell Jarvis, I want my suit more red. I want this weapon on my shoulder, things like that, right? The blueprint is the prompt. You now tell the AI what do you want, because you know the problem of your fleet, and you have in your mind your outcome or potential outcome. And then you have the vibe. You don't need to code. Basically, the AI is coding that for you, and you are basically curating everything, right? You are interacting with the UI, with the API, with the AI, and you are basically telling, I like this first draft, but I want this here, I want this car here, I want to move this other stuff here. So you are interacting with the AI, but you are not coding. So this bytecoding is closing that gap between you that know the problems and the outcome or the solution. This is a game changing because now 10% of your energy is focused on implementation, and 90% of your energy is focused on user experience, solving the problems. So you don't need to worry about a bracket missing on line 42. You just need to worry about the solution and if this works for your customers or for you, for your fleet. I want to share this one because this is a pro tip. Right now, who are going to win in 2026 are the people who knows or people who understand the fleet's pain points. Now, if you know how to code, if you know your problems, you potentially have the outcome on your mind, and you know how to solve these problems. And the AI is there to close that gap for you. These are also nice examples. This is basically add-in created by Scott, one of my colleagues, and it's an AdBlue dashboard that is not natively available at MyGeotab. It's like a dashboard for AdBlue, similar to a fuel dashboard. It's a nice solution that he created, let's say, in a morning using bytecoding. Real solution. This is actually working in customers' databases. SBS, this is another nice example. This is a customer who has a stolen vehicle recovery process. Operators need to move vehicles from between different groups, let's say active theft, then alarm, vehicle loss, vehicle recover, false alarm, things like that. But now this add-in do that automatically for the customer, so there is no prone to human error. It's another nice application of bytecoding, creating add-ins. This is another one I created also for a customer, accident analysis. You just need to select your vehicle, select a date range, and the add-in is going to tell you collision detected or no collision detected. If there is a collision detected, you can download a PDF with the accelerometer data, speed profile, locations, before, during, and after the collision took place. This is another add-in we created using bytecoding, let's say, in the morning. This is another nice one. This is not an add-in, but this is a dashboard we created for a customer who has 8 different databases for 8 different countries. And this is basically an OEM-focused deployment, and this customer wants to monitor activations in all those different countries. Can you imagine going to each one of those databases, checking if your vehicles are active or not? 8 countries. In this case, this is only a dashboard, 1 page, and this customer can see if they are struggling with Ford in Spain, or if they are struggling with Volkswagen in Germany, things like that. So this is like a CEO overview that is very, very helpful for them to spot problems and start working on those. Eugen, it's more example from Eugen.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. So what we are trying to say here is basically what we do is we try to fill the products gap. No? So like every product is not ideal, and MyGeotab is not yet ideal, maybe 99%. But what we try to do is we give you the tools, and the AI can leverage these tools and then basically create something which is not yet available in MyGeotab. No? So there are a couple of examples Ron did already. Now we do have more examples here on the slides. Now it could be odometer, like unified odometer based for, for any consumption analysis. Then like a report, a comprehensive report where we put all the vehicles with the fuel level and energy use, because that's not easy to compare energy and fuel, but we do it for you. And then this kind of stuff it is really powerful. So we do have tons of examples. They are running productive in customer databases. And then it is something where you can build on your own. So you don't require our help. Now we can help you, of course. Now as a Solenge department, that's not easy, not a big deal. But we have an API, we have an SDK, everything is open, and then it's basically free to use. The one example here is, that's an additional example. So we do have features which are currently available over API only. Now, for example, like this kind of where you can attach documents to vehicles. Now it's very interesting for leasing partners, rentals, or whatever. So you can attach PDF documents, maybe images from accidents or whatever. And then, of course, you can build up reports, administer these documents. That's super easy to achieve. And this add-in was built within 20 minutes, using the SDK and API version of Geotab. Then we go bit more, the step ahead, and then what we do is we are trying to create a tool for our partners, and then usually our partners are managing multiple customers, multiple databases, and then they try to unify maybe the reports, the user clearances, the rules, and then it's quite handy, so you cannot do that manually. And then what we can do, or what we try to achieve here is we try to help our partners to set up database like in unifying design. Now you just check the segment you're trying to install or the customer is having. Now it could be like field services, could be construction vehicles, and then with one click, basically activate all the database. Now the reports are being there, rules. So basically, you did the setup with one click, and this tool can be enhanced. Now you can define more segments, you can define more structure, and then bring it there as well. That's a very AI-based image and a very futuristic one. And then it is giving you an example where we built a tool to monitor databases, to monitor customer databases, because when you have like hundreds or thousands of vehicles, now you usually don't really realize maybe there is one vehicle not working, maybe the installation was done wrong, or maybe the driver is not using the Drive app properly. Now that's the tool where you can define rules, you can define triggers, and then basically you can manage that overview. And then here, the only limit is basically your fantasy. No, you can define everything you want. We do have tools, and it's up to you to use them. I think, Jorge, it's your time now.
Thank you again. So I'm the team lead of the Geospatial Data Science team at Geotab. My idea is to explain to you how a team that usually created AI now is integrating AI into their daily work, into our processes. So probably the most daunting task any data scientists do is labeling. I don't know if there is anyone here, but that's the things you hate the most probably. So now with visual machine learning, we have new ways of doing things. This is a snap-to-road algorithm. This is what puts the GPS points into a specific road. It's a complex algorithm that is difficult to validate because we don't have any ground truth. So what we do is, what we have been doing now is putting two different versions of the same algorithm into the same map, same image, and then ask the VLM to find the differences. So we only have to start checking for the difference. And then you can parameterize a lot the difference. So you had reduced like comparing 10,000 images, for example, into just checking the few hundreds that are different, and with the specifics of the VLM of what's changing between them. Something we are working a lot to improve is the speed limits. So this is more of a traditional machine learning problem and a very long problem that my team, specifically Danny there, is solving. And here is how we mix the traditional work with all the new tools of generative AI. So the first thing is the traditional machine learning. So this is a basic speed limit inference, how we track the roads, we check the vehicles going through, we check the parameters of the road, the type of vehicle, and we train a traditional model estimating the speed. And then we have some external logic for the binding of the speed limit. But this is basically it. So far, we are happy because we are increasing the open source coverage of OpenStreetMaps from 40% of the roads to 80% on the countries we are present. And we are getting 90% of values already between a 5 miles per hour threshold from the actual speed limit. So this is just the traditional part. And now we face again the same problem. For geospatial problems, you usually don't have a gold standard or the actual source you can use to compare your results with the truth. So we decided to take a look at it and see what we could do now with the new tools. What we did is, with the model we trained, we also created a parameter of entropy. So I have an image on the bottom right there, where you can see, it's very basic. You can see lines and points. That's basically how OpenStreetMaps is represented. You have points that are the nodes, you have lines that are the ways, and we have, for the different directions, we have different ways. Very simple. So what we are doing is going into the point, calculating all the speeds coming in, creating a measure of the speed entropy, and then selecting the nodes with high speed entropy. Those nodes with high speed entropy are the candidates to have speed limit signals close by. So then we go back to the previous snap-to-road algorithm, we check what vehicles have been driving through those parts, and we started trying, again, visual machine learning with cameras this time to find the speed limit signals. These are some complex examples that we are getting already. And these are actual examples that will be very hard for any speed limit provider to get accurately. So on the left side, we have two signals very close by. One is to the side road, the other one is the lane you are driving through. So with the VLM now, because OCR and signal detection and object recognition has been going on for a long time, but now with the VLM, we can get context on the image. So we can know if the right lane is affecting your vehicle or not, or if it's only the second signal. So we are looking into that. And the other one is another good example because that probably is a 50 kilometers hour road, but we have some construction, so you have an additional lane that is 30 kilometers now. That's very difficult to see or very difficult to calculate, and now with the VLM, with just a camera passing through, you can detect that signal and interpret it. So that's how we are using the visual learning models plus cameras plus some traditional machine learning to get a gold standard for speed limit. Other thing we have been doing for a while is you have some ideas that you want to explore or you want to create something new, and that usually took a long time. So I'm going to show you an example. We wanted to check how we can measure the coverage and quality of our GPS satellites and how the modem is working. So that's something that could take several weeks in the past, and then you never had time to do that. Now with generative AI again, you can do this in less than an hour probably. So this example here is when the conflict started in the Middle East. We wanted to make sure we could understand how it was affecting our customers and how we could help them monitor that, and of course, what measures we could take to improve that. So this is how the GPS track satellites look like, and you will see how it starts changing with all the GPS jamming and spoofing affecting the vehicles. You will see how it changes around. This map, by the way, and animation is all done with generative AI. Just being careful I don't know if anyone is solving geospatial problems here, but it's not great with geospatial logic, but if you define well what you want to do, just specify the sources and the kind of functions you want to do, then it's pretty awesome building quickly the results. And here I have another example. This is European coverage. And this was just, I was trying another version to check more vehicles, how it would look. And I asked the AI to get into Barcelona for the final. That's it. You saw a little bit more of orange there. That's because usually we are having above 10 track satellites per vehicle. And the orange is around, I was checking, it's around 5, 6 satellites, which is pretty good already because with 3 you already can triangulate. So just that. I think I have been faster than should. Thank you all.
Okay, so just some housekeeping. So we are supposed to have a networking break now. That's not going to happen. We'll go straight into Felipe's session. But before we do that, I just want to let you know, Felipe, you can come and plug in. Our engineers who have been on stage today and been explaining all of this, you can book appointments with them in the expert bar, and you can go into a little bit more depth, maybe take your real problems to them or your real use cases to them, and they can actually start to help you drive that through. What we're going to do now is Felipe is going to take the floor, and this is when we get into the real meat and bones of things. So hope you enjoyed.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Todos. Oh, the microphone is working. I have my adapter. And hopefully we can do something very interactive because I want to do live demos. I want to vibe code. That depends on you giving me your ideas. You saw a lot of inspiration already of things that can be done. But let's see how it works when we try it. My computer is here. My guide is here. I had Claude create slides for me, so they might not be perfect. But it's all about vibe coding. By the way, just to get to know you where you are right now, who uses ChatGPT every day? Yes. Who knows Claude? Who is using Claude instead? Yes, so Claude is penetrating. Are you using it for at home, at work? Who's using it at home? Yes. What about at work? Like, do you have a Claude subscriptions? Yes. And are you using the MCP servers with Claude? OK, we have less hands with MCP, but we are going to demonstrate MCP, so I get to show that off. I want to start showing a video because I find super cool that we did a vibe coding hackathon for all of our customers around the world. I don't know if you saw that when we were advertising the hackathon. If you didn't see it, because I didn't advertise it enough. But people from all over the world participated and sent projects that they built like in 1 week. So let me show you that video. Here. Tomorrow, everyone is going to see it, but everyone that's here today gets the avant premiere. And we're going to have Neil speaking in 1 second.
So we're all engineering nerds, and to showcase the power of AI, we're doing a little vibe coding competition. So what is vibe coding, I hear you ask?
There was this idea of the intelligent geofencing, and then I built it a plan.
Like the people who are non-technical, who are empowered now.
Anything that create today maybe could be a huge business in the next few months.
So for the first time, anybody can develop software. If you can dream it, you can make it.
Critical risk score of 76.
We have all the vehicles connected.
It told me the incident time.
Pool Finder runs as a MyGeotab ad.
See here, our fleet is live.
Arrows shows the vehicle in motion pointing.
The dashboard is fully responsive.
GPS log record streaming from a MyGeotab database.
Remember the days when you had an idea that you scribble it down back of a napkin, then maybe sometime in the future you'd see it progress? I'm here to tell you that this napkin to reality gap, it's officially closed.
Yay. So you can see there that it's not only people at Geotab. We're using this a lot. You found a lot of inspiration at what we are building for our customers, but our customers, you, partners, and people that have never touched Geotab are able to sit down, connect a couple of things, get a Geotab demo account, and start building. So even if you have kids at home that have never played with Geotab, they can create their own demo account and they can start building projects without fearing that they are going to touch any PAI or break anything that's running on production. That if kids can do it at home, we can do it now. I have my demo account, so I don't work. I'm not worried about breaking anything. I want all of you to try this stuff, so start with the demo accounts if you want. That is me? That is me in Spanish? It sounds more a higher voice. Anyways, I speak Spanish too. I'm from Chile. That's my accent. But I've been living for the last 15 years in San Francisco. Google brought me there. I became the developer advocate for BigQuery, which is a big data warehouse that Geotab uses. Back in 2018, I did a video showing off how Geotab uses BigQuery, like as a Googler. And last year, they called me if I wanted to join the Geotab team and do exactly what I'm doing here. Be the interface with customers, partners, and the outside world of how they can do more things with the data that Geotab gives them, and doing more today means working with AI. I like my voice. Any questions so far? Because I have my slides, I have my story, but I'm very happy to go, just know what are you feeling, where would you like to go? Any thoughts? It's okay if you don't have any thoughts now, but I want this to be interactive, so that makes it way more fun. Hello.
I'll open with a question. How do you make your data sets ready for AI? Because I think we've seen in my work, the output of AI sort of data problems is only as good as the quality of the data with regards to like documentation, and so that AI knows what it's interacting with. How do you make your data sets AI ready?
That's a great question. Yeah, if anyone has more questions, you can give me the questions now, and then I can incorporate it as I go through the presentation. But getting data ready for AI is important, not only in how do we clean it up. And fortunately, we have data from Geotab that should be the gold standard. Like you have chosen Geotab compared to other solutions because we're pretty good on giving you data that you can trust. At the same time, data is never perfect. Cleaning it up, I know it's important for you, so I know you have answers about that, but that's an important topic. But also preparing data for AI means we're going to send data to LLM models. Those LLM models, maybe we don't have permission to send PII to them, so how do we structure a system where it's okay to send them data? We want to analyze the behavior of our drivers. Can we send them the name of our drivers? Maybe that becomes a legal problem, but all of that can be solved. Anyone else right now? OK, let me play a little bit and interrupt me. This is the main repository that I built for anyone that's vibe coding with Geotab. Basically, I use Claude also to write this, and I structured it in two ways. It has a lot of guides. It has a lot of skills. Guides are things that you can read and follow through and go through any topic that you want to play with. And skills are things that you can give to your Claude, to your ChatGPT, so it understands how to work with Geotab without having to discover it itself. And one of those guides is the one I wrote for today, our masterclass of how we do vibe coding and how we play with it. It's the second part, so Claude knows that I should be starting in 20 minutes. We're going to start early. It's OK. And I want to show you first the hackathon winners, to show the participants, to show you what people built with these ideas. I made a lot of videos, interviews. You can see what people built. You can see also a summary of the 40 projects of what people submitted, the code, their ideas. Just to show you some of them, I have some highlights. The winner was Fleet Shield AI, a predictive fleet safety and insurance intelligence platform. The operator says, run a coaching sweep, and the system scores every day, every driver against their 90-day baseline, updates the portal, and places real phone calls to drivers. So if a driver, we would need to contact someone, this project is doing it immediately. And what's phenomenal about this kind of project is that people built it in 1 day, 1 week. It was so easy and quick to build it that now it's not like a super protected project, but something that they can freely share online. So you want to see all of their code, they have published it here, and you can learn from what they have built. And you can learn from their prompts, you can learn from the methodology, you can go super deep. Pool Finder, this one was super cool. They were thinking, how do we optimize the number of vehicles that we have in our organization? Not by looking at the utilization of each one, but hey, maybe some are using the morning, some are using the night. We can do an optimization here, and they built a full project around this. The check fleet onboarding, a 3-system reseller provisioning agent, automates new customer onboarding across Geotab, CRM, and billing in a single workflow. So it's not all about not only what we do with Geotab, but how do we integrate it in bigger workflows. If we are using SAP, if we are using Salesforce, we can start connecting everything together. And here you have a project built by Mufti CMD. And again, they released everything, and you can see how much effort they had to put. What else do we have here? We also had an award for Google Cloud was our sponsor. I'm going to use a lot of Cloud today, but you can also use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, there are different tools. We can combine tools together. One of our prizes was for the one that made the best use of Google tools, and they did a multi-agent safety audit integrating dashcam footage with Geotab Telematics, which shows you that not only you can analyze all of the data that you're getting from Geotab, you can also analyze videos, connect everything together. And we gave an award for the best sustainability solution, and they improve waste collection route optimizer using this algorithm to skip bins that don't need servicing. Again, this is a lot of magic. And of course, we are part of a community, so we use the Geotab subreddit to have people discuss what they were building, talk to each other, and we gave an award to LP Papillon for how collaborative he was. Well, this is what I love about what we're building now. We're building together. We want to collaborate. We want to learn from each other. If something is not is not your exclusive PII, share what you're doing. Build with others. Let's build together. Any questions? There are 40 projects that you can see there. But that was our hackathon. And hopefully we will do one soon again, so you can all participate and keep building the second generation of projects. But you don't need a hackathon to start building. Yes, hopefully this is exciting enough that if you have not tried these tools, you get home or you open your notebook now and you start playing with them right now. Questions? Is that a no. Am I speaking too fast? Everyone is following through? Yes? Cool. So my favorite example is the Google Gemini Gem to build add-ins. And again, you can test this with your production databases, but before testing things with a production database, come here to mygeotab.com, registration, and you can create a demo database. And with this, you can play in a safe place. And I have my demo database. I have built like 4 of them already, so it's not Vegas 2, it's Vegas 4, but I also have one in Spain here. Yes, this is a demo database. They're pretty cool because they even have real-time data. These are not real people. These were real cars some time ago, but now this looks like a real thing that's moving, and you can start playing with all of these things. So as you know, we have the add-ins. There's many add-ins we have created. In this case, we have no add-in, but If we go to our gem, we can create an add-in right now. Of all the ideas you heard, silly ideas, smart ideas, is there anything you would like to build right now and test if we can get this done? This is why I show that this is really done in front of you. Anyone? Yes, please. Yes, I like your...
Since we're next door to the new camp, could we see which of the football stadiums we've had vehicles drive near?
Oh, that's a good question. This is for football stadiums.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to save that demo for later for the MCP part. But yes, I like it a lot. The thing about football stadiums is that it will take a little more research to find where they are, but we can do that in multiple steps. I want to do something that we could do in one step, like questions about drivers. Yes, please. Thank you. Cool. So this is, I don't know if I have EVs in this fleet, but let's say we do an add-in that looks at what percentage of my vehicles are EV, and let's look at the fuel if the gas or EV is less than 20%. Boom. And this is a good idea. Now we get Gemini to think a little. With Gemini, you can have the thinking mode, which I have right now, or the fast mode. Fast would be faster, but thinking sometimes get you better results. What's the deal here? I created instructions for this gem that I have fed it already, so this gem knows how to create add-ins. So I can ask a question as simple as this, and it's thinking. It's adding debugging tools, simplifying the diagnostics, refining the queries. It understands Geotab basic elements. It's implementing the UI, looking at how it's going to call the API, looking at data retrieval, calculated the percentages. Now we have an UI, integrating debugging tools, okay, categorization, processing, classification, updating the UI, constructing the table, finalizing the display, boom, boom. And here we have an add-in. Thank you. That's how much effort we need to put to build something. I can come into MyGeotab, system settings, add-ins. I will allow and verify add-ins because no one has verified this one. And I'm going to paste this code. Save. And I have my EV mix and low fuel tracker 0.1. Let's go see. OK, in this fleet, in this demo database, I have 50 vehicles. None of them are EV. 50 are gas. I need a different demo database. Everyone is super healthy right now. But again, this is demo database. The fact that I was able to create this, that it's interactive, that it understands my fleet, I can start playing with it. For example, I can ask it, not every time I'm going to get the results I want really, really quickly, so I can ask more questions. So let me go back to my gem, and I'm going to tell it, OK, but give me a link to each vehicle and summarize how full it is and how fast it's going. And again, it's going to think a little more, it's going to give me more code, and I will be able to put it here. Hello.
Could you add a slider where you can change it from maybe the 10% that you had, like statically, to like change it to look at all vehicles that have less than, let's say, 50%?
I like the idea. I'm going to add a slider in 1 second. Let's see. I don't know if in this demo database everything is full at 100%, but then we can add the slider, and it's still thinking. I have another database too, so I just 0.2. We go back to the add-in here, and let me save this one. Let's see what our demo database has. it did not list every vehicle, and that's when I get, I go to complain to my gem, hey, I don't see all my vehicles. Hey, I don't see all my vehicles. And this is the experience with AI. The first demo that I give you, it's super, super cool. Then we start getting angry with it because it's not doing exactly what we want, and we have to start doing more steps. But that's OK. After we review this gem process, I want to go into how do we take an add-in that I created in 5 minutes to something more professional that we can grow within the team. And this guy is telling me copy debug data because it gave me this button to copy the debug data, and I can keep the conversation. And this is what happened. So what's interesting here is that this add-in infrastructure with the gem that I built here is not only smart enough to give me code back, but it created these 2 buttons where I get the debug log and I copy debug data so I can feed the gem back what's happening. It looks like a simple setup. What? You forgot what we were doing. I wanted to have my list to click to each vehicle. And then we're going to add a slider. But while these things, any other question? I like, please. Yeah, excellent question. So that's the next step where the question is, OK, I just generated this. I did a copy-paste. Where am I keeping this so I can keep improving it and handle it more professionally and keep different versions? The next step here is not only creating the add-in and showing my teammates, look at what I built. It's, OK, now how do we set it up on GitHub and keep developing it more professionally? And I'm going to do that next. But I have a new version of the add-in. Hopefully it's working. And if not, we are going to keep moving on. But let's see if I was able to convince it. Vehicle navigator. Oh, there I have it. Somehow it forgot about the dashboard, but now I have a list of every vehicle that I have, and it can go here. And I can keep fighting with it so it doesn't forget that I wanted my dashboard and what data I wanted. But you can see that I have the ability to create these add-ins. So yes, we did the live demo, build something with the audience. The next thing is that what I'm doing here, it's all in this guide. This guide is already public, so if you were taking notes, just load this URL, and it's all here. And if we have any problems, we're going to change things here. And now comes the second part. How do we make this project? How do we start working with this professionally? Like, OK, we have a great example. Sometimes we can stop here because this was perfect. But if we want to make it more professional, we can load Cloud Code or Google Anti-Gravity, et cetera. I'm going to do it with Cloud Code on the web. So I was working here with Gemini. And this was a good dashboard. And I'm going to go to Cloud Code. And here I can start a new project. And what I'm going to tell him, start a new folder, document what this add-in does, and make it a full add-in hosted in this repo. And now I'm communicating with Cloud Code. Cloud Code is a great tool that understands GitHub. If you don't know GitHub, I'm going to explain GitHub in a second. But in my life, when I was coding, I used to load a coding IDE, so I could do everything visually. I could see my code. I could start changing things. We don't do that anymore. Now, Claude is in charge of programming, and I tell it what I want it to do, and it produces new code. And if I don't like what I see, I keep telling it to produce new code. Yep, in this case, you can see that I pasted code that I don't understand. But this thing is going to look at the repository where I'm working. It's going to create a new folder. And it's going to take certain time to produce things as you will want it. Like, how do we do this in a cleaner, more professional way? Let's give it time, but if you have questions in the meantime, happy to take them. Yes, please.
Based on your data set, can I give you a different problem to solve? Because you've got data there just for carbon vehicles, not electric.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had a question that, let's say you've got a fleet of, I don't know, 10,000 vehicles, and you want to know, which vehicles to choose if you wanted to add 500 electric vehicles to your fleet, can it tell me which vehicles I should upgrade based on the charging infrastructure and trips of those vehicles typically?
Yes, that's a great problem, and I want to give some space for my teammates here because the question is, if we have a fleet of gas vehicles and I want to electrify part of that fleet, can this thing be pretty smart and tell me which ones are the best candidates? I think that's part of the problems Geotab already solves, but at the same time, we can add more intelligence, but if you have the Geotab, yes, Avi.
Testing? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, great question. So I think one of the tools that we've already got in the system is the EV suitability assessment. That actually helps you figure out what EVs can be transitioned to. But with the code and with the add-in creator that we've got, absolutely we can build that. So what we need to do is look at the trips, look at the way the vehicles are driving around, the vocation of the vehicle. Is it a services vehicle? Is it a last mile vehicle? That kind of thing. And then build up upon that. We'd have to look at market insight as well on vehicles that are available in the market for EVs and that can be switched, and that's kind of how you build that. But we've already got some tools that do that. What we basically do with this is to enhance on that or build specific use cases that are particular for you itself that are not part of the original product roadmap. Did I get that right and answer that right, Felipe?
Yeah, I mean, that.
No, because I missed the question.
It's a part of that we can mix. Like, yes, Geotab is developing great models for Geotab itself before adding electrification of fleets is really important. So we want to do that already, but we can do even more, and we can augment, and we can compare results between our models, our partners' models. We clean up our data a lot, but we have partners with specialization is cleaning up data. And how all works, it's...
I'll just add one thing. So, I mean, an interesting one, for example, is I think what Ron showed earlier on the AdBlue side of things. So we get the data on the AdBlue, which is basically what's the percentage of the AdBlue. But what we don't know is what is the tank capacity of that specific vehicle, because that varies by different vehicle, and that's not a data point that comes from Telematics. So using this, the add-in generator that Felipe showed earlier, what you can basically do with that is to build out a specific one which helps you input just the percentage of your fleet. And that gives you the percentage difference between what the level is today versus what the tank capacity is. So these kind of bolt-ons, extra pieces that typically in the past you would have come to someone from Geotab and we would have had to code in the background and build for you maybe through a custom report, now can be actually coded directly into your specific database that you can build for yourself. So that's just one extra example.
Yes, but I love the question, and I love that, yes, we can start augmenting what you get from Geotab by yourself, by leveraging partner tools in the marketplace, how what you are building, like whatever we're building here, can be something that lives in the marketplace later because you built something so cool that more people want. Hey, we have the marketplace to help others too. And while we were talking, Cloud Code did the job. Something that I love about Cloud Code is that it has a web version. So you can see that here I came to just a Chrome tab, and I have this same session in my phone. So whenever I'm doing this kind of job, I start it in my computer, I go on a bike ride, I'm on the middle of my bike ride, I have another idea, and I just continue the conversation, and it all works together. So as I was showing you, all I did here is paste very weird code, and Claude was able to create a whole project out of it. So let's see the files that it created. So, well, it created a README, and it understands, I just pasted code, and it understands that this is a live fleet health dashboard that classifies every vehicle as EV or gas size and surfaces any vehicle below 20% battery. These are the features. These are our files. We can do it embedding. So embedding means that we can copy the JSON there. And Geotab takes care of creating these HTML and JS files. Or they can live here in whatever repository we want it to live, and Geotab can point here. So we can either paste the JSON, how it says here. It created a README of how it works, how it determines what the vehicle type is, what's the threshold, what calls it's making. It has a debug panel. How can we extend it? Where do we learn more? And this is the JSON that's more explained. And I can be like, no, don't do a JSON, self-hosted, have the pages hosted on GitHub instead, and give me a list of vehicles that I can click with gas percentage, and a test. And now I'm building a more serious project. This is the same thing that I was able to do in 30 seconds with the gem, but I'm expanding it, I'm adding tests, I'm documenting it, more people can collaborate with me, and instead of living in a small JSON thing that I can copy paste around, it lives in my repository. And we can let it work for a while. Any questions? It's okay, this is working, so we have time to answer questions. Yes, please.
What is the craziest idea you've ever had come from someone for building through AI?
Craziest idea that I had building with AI. Yes. The funny one that I got in Vegas when we were doing this, someone asked me to replace. So maybe we can even do it now, but so this is how I go to my add-ins. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to tell, OK, take the map, the Geotab map, and replace the vehicles with animals, emojis, showing that represent the speed they are going. Someone had that idea in Vegas, and again, we can go and create things, and looking at animal emojis is more fun than looking at just points in the map, and let's see if it can create it while we wait. And that's the other nice thing about vibe coding. I can have multiple things working at the same time. So I have here Claude working. Where did my Claude code session go? Here. Let me see the div here. It's still working. Meanwhile, my gem, it has decided to have a turtle, a rabbit, a horse, and a leopard. I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to come here to my add-ins, create a new add-in, and pop. Yay, here are my vehicles going around Spain. And this is a turtle, this is a leopard. Yeah, we can create and we can play, we can do maps, we can really start augmenting anything that we're doing. And of course, it's clickable and we can go and see the vehicles. It's part of the general system. Other cool things that I've seen is In Vegas, I was talking to an analyst at one of our customers, and she told me how every Monday she would come to MyGeotab, click here, copy a line, click here, copy a line, then put everything on a Google Sheet and code everything with color so she could send the email with the report she wanted. I asked her if she could show me that sheet, that report. We took a screenshot of it. We gave the screenshot to this gem, and the gem was able to create the report that she wanted and make it an add-in instead of having her every Monday copy-paste all that data. The add-in can take your report, a screenshot of your report, and can deliver and save you a lot of time. You like that one? And here it's still working. Yes, I love the questions. Thank you.
Is this exclusive to whatever data set you're looking at in your fleet of vehicles, for instance? Or is there certain data that could come legitimately from a competitor's fleet or other people's fleet? So, for instance, particular fault codes on an engine or something like that. Is there any benefit or opportunity to say, well, okay, even if it's somewhat anonymized, that across all Geotab connected fleet, this is a pattern or a characteristic? Or is it always just closed to your own data set?
Yeah, so the question is, are the tools that I'm showing off limited to Geotab data? No, we can connect it to anything.
Can I get data from another customer's vehicles?
I mean, you can get data from other customer vehicles if you have permission from them. But yes, I can connect it to a lot of other tools inside my company if I'm using multiple providers. Claude here is not just your thing that builds for Geotab. We want to be part of wherever you're using Claude for, or ChatGPT or Gemini, you're using it to build other things. What we want to be is ready for your AI world to connect with Geotab. Like, our job is to make it easy for your Claude to also know what's happening at Geotab. And yeah, I'm doing my demo center on Geotab, but all of these ideas, it could be around your SAP, your Salesforce, and we want to be part of that flow. Yes, and the add-ins in Geotab could bring data from third parties.
Have you guys built custom add-ins for your customers? Like, let's say your customer has a request to build a custom add-in for them that they currently don't see on the marketplace. Have you guys tried going out and building something like that for them?
I have the perfect team to answer this.
I think the answer is yes, we have. Is this one on? Okay. So the answer is yes, we have. So I think some of the examples we showed earlier, I'm not sure if you were there at the first part of the session, but some of the examples we showed were specific custom add-ins that we built specifically for customers. So one of the customers needed to know, for example, 8 different databases, 8 different countries, but wanted to track the activations and deactivations, and we used this to build that add-in. We, of course, put a little bit more thought into it. We didn't just leave it just purely. We iterated, as Felipe was saying. The first cut's not always what you want, but you kind of iterate and build that. So yes, the simple answer is yes. Yes. I'll also address your question, Chris, on the maintenance side of things. So 2 ways to look at that. One is the Geotab core data that we get, so the fault codes that we get from the vehicle. That is surfaced information. Through our AI modeling outside of the vibe coding itself, what we're doing in the background is taking that research-based approach on fault codes, for example, and building the modeling on that. What you can do with the Claude is, for example, say, show me all the fault codes that have occurred on a particular vehicle for a particular day, and I want you to now look outside into, say, a research paper or a PhD paper, and tell me what you think from a market perspective are the possible causes of this. The only challenge with that is when you're looking out into kind of the open market, you're not 100% sure which one to trust. So that is something that we kind of do from a product perspective itself, vetted, trusted sources of understanding what a fault code does, as well as mathematically induced AI modeling on the faults itself. So that's an interesting session. There's actually a maintenance session on today, just after this, so I would highly recommend going to that one if you want to get into a bit more depth on the maintenance side. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. So yeah, it's there's so many layers where we can build. Like you have your solutions engineers that you can solve problems for you. You have the partners, your reseller that can develop those solutions. Now we have the customer that can develop those solutions. And what changes now is that with everyone building things and taking 10 seconds to build, it's like, okay, which ones are good quality, which ones are well maintained, which ones are safe to install in my production database. We're moving the question from it was hard to build things to now it's hard to choose which of all of them are the clean ones, which of all of them are the well-tested one. But I love that.
Thank you. Quick question. Amazing what you're doing. Really exciting. Thank you for all the demonstrations. Earlier, you mentioned around getting the data ready for AI to use.
Yes.
And of course, the fact that you've got so much data into Geotab and it's very, very rich. I can understand that. Questions came from a gentleman a second ago around bringing third-party data in, and then you touched on SAP and others, maintenance. How are you then blending that data to get it ready for the AI to use again when the discrepancies are so vast?
Yes, we're going to play a little bit with MCP and that, but the question is like, yeah, now I have too much data. How do I get things ready, and how do I do them in a repeatable way? And repeatable is really important because I'm having conversations with AI, it's giving me an add-in, or I can ask it for an analysis, and I got a really cool result after 10 turns. But then the question becomes, how do I make this repeatable? Like, oh, now I found a good way to do it, but I don't want to start the whole conversation tomorrow. And tomorrow it found another way. I just want to make this repeatable, and I want to share those best practices with more people. And I think that's my next topic. So, great question. To finish the GitHub one, like, yes, I started by one thing created by a gem, and now I decided that's a good project to develop as a team. Now I have something ready to upload to GitHub. So I have the JSON, and the JSON doesn't have a lot of messy code anymore. It's just telling Geotab, load my page that's hosted in this GitHub repository. It doesn't need to be a GitHub repository, but this is a very fast way to host this kind of software. We can look at the HTML that it created. Now, it's not a mess of a worm of code, but it has a full page that we can start developing more professionally. What's the next one here? We have the README that we already reviewed, two READMEs. We still have the embedded one, and now we have tests. So as we start developing our solution and making changes, the tests are going to make sure that whatever was working will keep working every time. I think this answers the question, where did the question come from, of how do I move this to GitHub instead of just copy-pasting giant blobs of code. But at the same time, copy-pasting giant blobs of code means that I don't need to learn any of these tools. I can create things for myself, and then I can hand that blob that has something that I like to someone that can take care of maintaining things later. We can divide responsibilities, but the most important part is giving the skills to anyone that wants something done, the ability to do it, test it, find that this is what they want, and they can hand it over to who's going to take care of this for the rest of its productive life. More questions about this? But yes, let me go back to my guide because I think, yes, this is where I describe what the gem is. As a user, you have the gem user guide living in this repo too. We did the live demo, we did the iterations, and then we did the bridge from gem to Cloud Code. And now let's talk about the vibe guide. The vibe guide is what I've been using today. And this is the important part. Like, I came here to Cloud Code. I pasted some crappy code. It knew how to create all of this. It knew how Geotab works. The question is, how does Claude know all of this? If you go home and you ask questions about Geotab, it will use whatever it knows from the web. It doesn't know all of the details it needed to know to do this. And this is the skills part. So if I open the Vibe guide again, I have here the skills. I started my project here when I copy-pasted this here. I started it inside my Geotab guide, Vibe guide project. And in this project, I have all of the skills. So here, for example, in the Geotab skill, it knows how to talk to Geotab. It knows that it has different ways of getting data from Geotab. We have the API, which is what you most traditionally use. But we also have the OData data connector. That's what you use when you want to integrate Geotab with Power BI, or you want to integrate it with Tableau. The same connector, you don't need Power BI or Tableau. You can use the same connector to get data for yourself. And we also have ACE, which is the last part of my demo, is how do we use more of ACE. Through this skill, I'm teaching my LLM what kind of data I can get from each, how each one works. I have a full comparison of which one is faster, what kind of results you can expect. So my LLM knows which one to choose. When you build this kind of skills, you don't want to create a giant document for the LLM because reading too much gets it confused. So I create subchapters. It knows, for example, how to talk to the API, or it knows how to do add-ins. Then is really important too. If I want my add-in to look like the rest of Geotab, I can come to Cloud Code here and I can tell it, apply the Zenis skill for, apply the Zenis skill. If you know Zenis, Zenis how we, our framework, how we build my Geotab, but also we give this framework to anyone that's building on Geotab so they can match the look, the feel, the behavior. And instead of having you learn how to make all of that happen, the Zenis skill exists already. And now Claude can work for the next 10 minutes and change the add-in that we created into a fully developed one. And it knows because the skill is here. How to use ACE, it also understands how to use ACE, how to use the data connector, and wherever Claude is trying to do, it can start reading those smaller files. And we have how to start with API, the add-ins, how to do data analysis. So sometimes it's about the skill, like figuring out how to work with vehicle data speed and figuring out what kind of report I can build. That can become a skill that here I created some. The ones that you're using at work at your place are particular to you. So the idea is you start having these conversations, you get things that you want, and then you tell Claude, hey, Claude, convert this into a skill. Make it something that's reusable. And how do we do a trip analysis, for example? OK, these are the patterns. Each trip contains all of this data. This is how we calculate total distance. This is how we group by vehicle, the idle time. How do we find long trips? What's a trip summary? How do we export to CSV? Wherever I'm doing, we can learn from, we can have a long conversation. We can fight the API, the LLM, until we get what we want. Then we create the skill, and the skill is what we share with the rest of the company. Or with the rest of the world, if we put it on GitHub as people did it for the hackathon. How we get data. We have not only skills about how do we work with Geotab. It's, where do I have here, N8N? Oh, that was here in the Vibe guide. Boop. I lost it. It's OK. Oh, here. Sometimes your problems are not about getting data from Geotab. Sometimes your problem is like, yeah, I got the exact report that I wanted. I know what I wanted to analyze. But now I want to push this data into Salesforce. Or I want to get an email whenever this happens. I want to run this report every 10 minutes, every hour, every day. And if this, then do that. There are many frameworks to do that. One particular open source, free to use to get started one is N8N. So inside the Geotab Vibe Guide, I have a skill that's all about how do we use N8N with Geotab, how we schedule triggers, requests, etc. And these are all things that you don't need to read because your LLM will know how to read it. But if you want to understand how N8N works, where did I have it? It was my guide, my agentic quick start with N8N. So how you build your first fleet agent with N8N? This is the guide for you. You can schedule, fetch trips from Geotab, filter speeding, send a alert via Slack. And of course, Geotab has its own alert system inside, but if you get to decide to use N8N, you can connect it to Slack, to Teams, to Discord. You can add more context. You can do multi-step workflows. You can have your custom logic. You can integrate it with whatever system you want. And here are the instructions for you. Create an account, create the workflow, the 3 things that you want to happen, the Geotab authentication. In this case, N8N needs to authenticate to your this is the whole thing of getting, how do you get all of this automated? Any questions before I move on? Yes, I love. We'll have more questions as we progress. Hello. Maybe it was not on.
Hello.
Yes.
So, question for me about my admin examples. Maybe do you have some my admin tools or add-ins specifically for the reseller use cases, for example, to automate some subscription fees, billings for the customer to create such ones?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I have to confess, so far I have not played with my admin, but do you have... In fact, personally, I've never used the My Admin API, but we can...
Yeah, so I think simple answer is yes. I think we can do that because the My Admin has an API as well. And what we need to do is in the vibe coding that the gem creator that Felipe has made, you'd need to actually play with that to do it, to look at the My Admin API instead of the MyGeotab API. So technically it's possible. Again, honestly, I haven't built something specifically, but that's something we can take away. I think Eugen will book some time with you and go through that.
Yes. And this is why I love questions. Even if I don't have the answer, you are inspiring me on where to go next and what things we have not built yet. My secret to write all of the skills, so if you come here to all the skills I have created here inside for Geotab and others, these are the references. It's not like I wrote all of these things. I didn't teach it how to use the Ace API. What I did is I took the documentation that Geotab gives you, and I tell Claude, hey, read all of this documentation and create a skill that you can use later. So afterwards, instead of Claude having to figure out all of the documentation that it could ingest, we create the skill that allows it to do that kind of job. In this case, I would go and find the My Admin API documentation, and I would tell Claude, read these docs, create a skill. So this is a solved problem for anyone that wants to do that next. So I love that. I have more questions. And again, I can go in any direction you want. I have kind of a path, but I love getting where you want. Okay, let's continue because there's more fun stuff, but we still have time. So yeah, skills are very important. Whenever you are starting one of these projects, the gem already has the skill of how to create an add-in. But there are things, that one is limited on the things that you want. Once you move to Cloud Code or you move to anti-gravity, wherever you are developing, bring it this repository, tell it to clone the vibe guide, and then to read the Geotab skills to produce different examples. Before I move on, I also was thinking about this add-in. For example, we had one of our solutions engineers. He was working with the call chain. Where is my call chain example? Call chain. Oh, yes, this is an annotated example. So here I had a teammate working. He created a call chain adding with the gem. Once he created it, he gave me the JSON code that he developed, and I told Claude to transform this in a whole skill to make it usable for anyone else that wants to create a call chain example. So now this repository understands how to use the skill, what decisions are important, how refrigeration is handled by Geotab, and it gets, we not only get the add-in as an example here, we get Claude to understand all of these variables for whenever you are building something that's call chain related. And so that's the skill part. And the most important part is not only using the skills that I created. As you are working inside your company, start creating skills and sharing it in a common repository so everyone's Claude or wherever LLM starts behaving in dependable ways. And of course, it's all documented online. And now let's talk a little bit about ACE. Who is using ACE already? That one we made GA in February. I see a couple hands. If you don't know ACE, ACE is our chat agent, chatbot inside Geotab. So ACE is super cool because instead of navigating the report infrastructure that Geotab has, you can ask direct questions about your fleet. So tell me what were the safest vehicles driving yesterday. This thing, it's already inside Geotab. I don't need any extra tools. I don't need any extra coding. I can have people come and ask questions from it. It takes a little more than 30 seconds to answer, sometimes a minute. We can let it create this. And ACE keeps getting better. It was GA'd in February, and now we are, if you haven't tried it lately, now it has more skills like the ability to create visualizations and the ability to, we're adding more and more the ability for it to understand and process answer more complex questions. But usually what ACE does is we give it one question, it figures out how to take the data out of the database, and it presents the data to you. Also, Mike is going to show a pretty cool example tomorrow in the keynote. Let's give it time to answer it. For those that have used ACE, do you have any feedback? I know ACE can, there it is. So it retrieved a list of vehicles that were active on the most recent date for which complete safety data is available, along with first the predicted collision rate per 1 million kilometers. And in this case, in this demo database, it didn't have enough data to answer the question, so it came out empty. But during the year of 2 years of development of ACE, it has improved a lot, but there's still feedback that people have, changes that they want to make, and then the question becomes of how do I take more control of it? How do I make it part of my vibe coding process? Any questions about this? Let's keep moving. So in the next section, forget about creating add-ins. Now we're going to discuss how do we talk to Geotab. And the cool thing that we have now is the MCP server that's going to be released in beta very soon. I'll let the announcements, whatever announcement is announcement, not going to be the official one. I'm just going to let you know that it's happening soon, and I'm going to show you it working on my account. So I'm going to go to Claude again. Happy Monday, Felipe. How many vehicles do I have? And now I'm not building an add-in. I'm having a conversation with Claude as I would have every morning to talk about recipes, to talk about the weather, restaurants. But in this case, Claude knows how to talk to Geotab. It's just plain Claude plus the connector that's talking to Geotab. And it knows, oh, I have 105 vehicles in my fleet. Can you tell me what was interesting about them yesterday? And that's a super open-ended question. What does interesting mean? I can let Claude figure out what that is. So it starts a whole process. It can go in different paths. I can interact with it. But you can see like, okay, it knows how many I have. It counts them by type. It wants to get details about exceptions and trips. And I can let it work for a long time. The secret here is that Claude has connectors. And one of the connectors that some customers are trying already, and all customers will be able to just add soon, is the Geotab MCP. It's configured. It knows how to talk not only to one of my accounts, it has access to all of the accounts that I have access to. So if you have 10 accounts, because that's how you're setting up Geotab at your work, and you always had trouble going from MyGeotab 1 to MyGeotab 10, Claude can talk to all of them and compile reports and compare data and do everything. You just manage your connectors here. And you can see that the Geotab MCP, it's a very predictable URL. If you try it, it will not work for your database until we enable it for you. But that's a meeting you can have with your account executives until it's general GA. And this MCP connector, MCP basically is the standard that not only Geotab, but everyone is using to connect tools to their LLMs. And these tools say, not only on Geotab, they also publish what kind of activities they can do. So the ones that that the Geotab MCP is publishing right now, it can decode VINs, it can download media file content. So if you have videos, it can bring a video out and let Claude analyze it, retrieve entities by type, query fleet data via Ace AI, count entities by type, the status of the Go focus, check emission compliance deadlines, get entity type schemas, hours of service rule sets, URLs to share a video, posted road speed limits. So if we know the speed limit, now you can ask Claude to get it out, supported entity types, search video and request, and it can also write and delete stuff. So you can ask it to delete your drivers, create drivers, rename all of your vehicles. It can pull those things off. It can, if you generated a video from a different platform and you want to make it part of your Geotab, cool. Just let Claude do it. It knows how to do those things. And also what's interesting here is you get to configure the kind of permissions you want to give Claude. So some of these tools, you want it to ask for approval. Some of these tools, you want to always allow. So Claude, don't interrupt me and ask me if I really want to do this. Just do it. Or you can just block these tools. I don't want to let my Claude rename all of my things because, yes, I'm not going to let it to delete. You get to control on your side of how much skills that it has. Meanwhile, Claude is working here with my vehicle counting query. Look at it. So while I was talking, it got a lot of data. It synthesized the fleet data, counted it by type, retrieved entities, sample of all data. It made the picture, and it reports that yesterday we had 1.1 million trip records across 105 HGVAC vehicles. This is the number of exceptions, faults. What was the? We had a lot of speeding. These were our offenders. How many events? This is an electrical one, so it was unplug and restart after all power was. None of the fault triggered. Okay, tell me about their level of charge. And I can have, thanks to MCP, I can have this full conversation and I can connect it to other tools. If I can connect my Claude to my calendar, I can ask it to look at the meetings I have tomorrow, who I'm meeting tomorrow, what those meetings are about, and to query Geotab, get the data that I need for that meeting, and even create slides for it. It has no problem doing things around tools. Questions? I love how you're...
Yeah, I actually have multiple questions.
I like it.
Okay. First of all, it kind of goes back to the add-ins.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. For the add-ins and how you think about multi-tenant structure. So saying that we have multiple different fleets and we want to have different add-ins for different fleet. Would that be possible, first of all? And secondly, how do we then, how do you think about storing the code for that? And how do we do that? Or is that within your repo, or how does that work?
Yes, so you're thinking about, you have multiple fleets and you want to have the same add-in work for each one, but understand that it's different, or?
No, I'm actually more thinking of having customized add-ins for different fleets.
Perfect. Yeah, so customizing add-ins for different fleets. What I'm thinking is just creating just 10 different ones in the same GitHub repository and having them point when I'm installing the add-in. Basically, if I still have my code here, yes, I have it here. What are my files? Let me go back to the vibe guide. I have here the pull request. This is the one thing that I had created here. Files change. That's a lot of files. Oh, because I did all the tests, the JSON. So basically, this is the file that I care about. If you have multiple add-ins, you can host them wherever you want in the world, but they're going to live in a URL. So then I can go to each of my Geotab settings add-ins, and I just give it a file like this. And each of my fleets can get a different URL. EV fuel tracker for fleet 1, EV fuel tracker for whatever name. All you need to do is give them a URL like this. Or it could be just one add-in for all of them that understands that when I'm loaded in fleet A, this is my behavior. When I'm loaded in fleet B, this is my other behavior. It can have self-reflection of, OK, I'm only one, but I know that I need to follow different paths. If it's similar behavior, I would rather have one than many, because it makes it easier to test, advance everything together, and handle just in one place the understanding of where I'm installed.
That makes sense. OK. The second question I had was more on actual usage. I assume, once you start building add-ins like this, and you're giving it a lot of context, and you're trying to build something new, can you talk me through how it worked with? I guess my concern is that you are trying to build something, giving a huge context that may not be necessary for your problem that you're trying to solve. And in doing that, just using a lot of tokens. And so having a really big Claude bill by the end of the month.
Exactly. So that's a great question. How do I handle the cost of all of this? There are several layers here. One, right now, for everything that I've done today, I have used my personal cloud account, for which one I pay $20 a month. It has had no trouble handling this. And I can keep giving examples about that. At the same time, I can show you how I built the whole presentation for today. This is another Claude. Now I have it on my desktop. And here, this one is connected to my Geotab bill. And in my case, at Geotab, we are using Google Cloud, and we want to make all of the token expense go through Google Cloud. This has two advantages. One is a big one for me. I don't need to care about tokens anymore. It becomes a company optimization problem. The company can track how many tokens each of us is spending and look for ways to optimize it. The other big advantage of going through Google and going through our enterprise account is that I don't have a big problem with PII anymore. When I use my personal account, which is very important, and I'm getting driver information into my personal account, that's a no-no in many places. So for my personal account, I just test demo stuff. With my business account, it's going through Google. We have a contract with them. We have a contract with them, with you, with our customers, with other partners of what kind of data we give them. And when I burn tokens this way, this data is not being used to train Google. And that's a very important for Geotab itself, for its customers, for the contracts we are going to sign. So anything we do with AI, we also need to get our lawyers involved and check that we are not sending data that we cannot send to third parties. And if we're doing it, how we're doing it, and that everyone is informed that that's happening. So sometimes I want to spend more money and make it the enterprise way, so every box is checked. And sometimes, for all the development job, with $20 a month, it can be very well handled, especially for the development without PII. Unless you can move between both of them. Also, which is super cool for me, is that Claude recently, here I'm using Claude Code on my desktop, Claude is allowing people, this is a beta test, to use their own gateways. So here, instead of connecting straight to Claude, we're connecting to the Geotab gateway that IT gives me. They control everything that's moving there, and they connected it not directly to Claude, but to our Google Vertex provider. And now I get to choose, as I'm using Claude Code, what model I want to use. I can use Claude models, but I can also use OpenAI codecs. I can use Gemini. I can choose what do I use, but it's all. I'm being taken care of by IT that I'm not respecting all the rules that I should respect. But in terms of cost reduction, yeah, my Claude $20 account is perfect as long as I'm not handling production data. And in terms of token reduction, which was your question, how do I not give it a huge context? That's why skills are so cool. So if I go here to my skills, my Geotab skills, this skill is only 500 lines. That's the best practice that Claude recommends. And everything else lives underneath. So Claude only loads the skills that it needs. And I can also ask Claude, hey, look at all my skills, clean them up, look if everything is too big, divide them. Because we have this skill protocol well defined, it will only load what it needs. So I think
you actually covered that really well. So
Yay.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we went through the dimensions, but yes, AI is dangerous with PII unless you have all of your flows very well defined.
Right.
That's an important message for everyone that was worried that I was not going to tell that. Other questions? Let's continue. Where is my guide? And yeah, I wrote this guide, everything that you see here, and all the improvements and analysis that I did to create this masterclass and create this file, I created with my corporate Claude Code account, because then I didn't need to worry about running out of $20 to give the demos today. Instead, I was spending all of that. An alternative for me would have what I did for Vegas is I spent $100 in Claude, and then I could run a lot of tasks at the same time. But now that I can push things through work, I do that without worrying. I get done what I did done, and I can run normal demos with $20. And so far, it hasn't given us any warning. So we have, oh yes, we were talking about ACE. The cool thing about ACE is that, yes, I can ask it questions through the web UI, anything that I want. But as I'm having my conversations with Claude, I can make it part of the conversations. Just to come back to the conversation that you asked me this question earlier. Tell me about the level of charge. In this demo, in this database, I do have EVs, and you can see in the conversation that it's able to tell me, now it's not part of an add-in, I could make this an add-in. I can make it a conversation of how well loaded they are. There are some that I should be watching that are only at 62, 56% when that happened. And you can see that through MCP, Claude is not only returning me a table with the data, it has an opinion. It's dividing things. It has an interpretation of what's happening. We can teach it how to interpret things better and what kind of results we want. But this makes a lot of sense. It's looking at one specific one. Why it has been raining steadily, but what happened at mid-afternoon? Oh, and there was a charge at 11 p.m. And you can go way deeper and have conversations and transform this into skills. And I can have similar questions where I go and I ask Claude via MCP to ask deeper questions to ACE. So how would you ask this to ACE through MCP? And sometimes ACE can do things that we cannot do, like asking a question to the API is very, very fast. If I want specific data about, give me my list of vehicles, of 100 vehicles, tell me at what speed they're going. But when I want to run a huge query that goes through a lot of data, and I wanted to compare the results for the last month, for the last year, ACE takes a longer time than the second thing that takes to get one data point. But during that minute, it can run queries, large-scale queries. Again, we can use Claude to decide when to ask questions to ACE, how to ask the questions to ACE, and how to work it through multiple steps. And now, yes, it's asking me for permission to do the thing. It's going to ask the question via ACE. You can see that I'm using this database. Tell me about the level of charge of my vehicles yesterday. And now, instead of going through each point, it redirects the question to ACE, and now we have to wait for the answer. And the other cool thing that we can do is, as we created an add-in earlier, inside the add-in, we can give permission to people to ask questions in English. And we can give permission people, or we can have pre-recorded questions that can be sent to ACE. And instead of going to the ACE interface, the add-in can ask questions to ACE, bring the answers back, and run whatever interpretation we want to run there. And it's all part of ACE not only living inside MyGeotab, but being part of the API. And yeah, this was the difference that getting their results is going to take at least 30 seconds, but getting fast answers, you can go way, way faster if you're using the API, but you don't need to learn to use API. Claude knows how to do it, the difference between doing both. Yeah, I was already showing you the MCP. Any more questions? We're doing pretty well on time. I'm glad we started early. As we start closing this, more questions. So in 5 minutes, Abby can give us the super closer. Okay, let me go into my finisher. So we talked about MCP. We talked about the tools that MCP has access to. And MCP is not only a protocol for Claude to talk to Geotab, it's for Claude to talk to any other tool and everyone. Like, if you go to the MCP showcase for Claude, let's see how many people are interactive docs. They have a playground, they have examples, they have tools. It connects to GitHub, to Hugging Face, Stabily, Have Intelligence, and there's 1,000 other servers because this is the standard. This is how you get to integrate all of the tools that you are working with. I went to the Google conference. This is unofficial. So this is a different story. I went to the Google Cloud Conference a month ago. They had like 1,000 sessions. Their website was really, really hard to navigate. So I built my own. I told Claude that I wanted to extract all of the sessions and create a place where I could explore things as I wanted to explore them. So for example, if we want to see the Geotab sessions, there were 3 sessions that Geotab gave there on how we are doing agents inside Geotab, and they were pretty cool. How to architect a secure agentic system, how to protect. Once we start using AI, that's another vector. So Google had us present with them about how to protect all of these flows and how to keep improving our agents. Yeah, I'm proud that Geotab is present in that conversation. We are not only using this technology. Google is featuring us as partners on building this. All of this is new. We've been building a lot ourselves. Google PMs have us on stage as someone that's helping them define what they're going to do with more customers. And you can, if you don't believe me, you can come and click here on the videos, and I have everything. It's easy to find. Daniel gave a great talk. But what I wanted to show you here is the word MCP. How many times did it come up on the Google conference? All of these Google talks are talking about MCP, and it's just showing off that it's a really important keyword in the AI world. So I met also more Geotab customers there. They were also super excited to see all of this. We are all building together. And then I even built top sessions for reservation and a whole knowledge graph. I processed all the slides. I processed all the videos, transcriptions, and I built a pretty nice graph of everything that was happening inside the conference. And you can ask questions to the graph, and this is a simplification of what they were doing. But yeah, that was a separate project, just showing off of what I can do with AI and how things are moving. MCP is really the keyword we need to know to start connecting things. Tomorrow you are going to see this on stage. I didn't have enough time to do it here, but what if, you were asking me about stadiums, what if we ask Claude, where is the Tour de France road closures happening? Can you tell me if any of my vehicles enters that area in the previous 24 hours? Yes, we can totally do that. Now you know that that's kind of the thing that what you are going to see tomorrow. Yeah, Claude can go and find stuff on the web. Where is this race happening? What are the stadiums? What are the addresses? Now that I have the address, talk to Geotab, make sure that we are planning well, make sure that we have the alerts, make sure that I get those alerts, and maybe trigger a phone call if I have to trigger it. The official Geotab MCP is coming, as I told you. Things to take home. Yes, create a demo database. If you didn't know you could create one, you can create one. Try the gem. Impress your coworkers building the add-in that you always wanted and do it in front of them. The MCP beta is coming. Look at the repo. And of course, we have our community. I started the subreddit, but the community has been the one that's been super active all this time. And all of the resources and all of this is published. Questions that you might have asked me, do I need to pay for Claude? We covered this question. What about privacy? We covered that too. Enterprise accounts, have lawyers. Can I build my own MCP? Yes. Before we had MCP coming, I created my own. So any tool that you want to talk to, you can create an MCP server. Claude can talk to it. I created one for Geotab as an example here. Those are... Oh, how do I manage and share skills around my team? One is have your GitHub repository. You can have a public GitHub repository. You can have a private one. But the thing is, start creating skills so you can share the best practices. Not only share them with others, but have the best practices for Claude to save time the next time you ask it the same question. You had a question? I saw a hand. No. And with that, I can close. This is when you wanted me to stop. Let's do it. Thank you very much. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. So that's a lot of information. But what we want to say is that we're all here for the next day and a half. And I would highly encourage that you book some sessions with some of the team to go through in detail. So you have Ron over there. Ron, raise your hand. That's Ronald over there. You've got Jorge. You've got Eugen, and there's a lot more people around, so please do set up time, and we can go through in a little bit more detail. I just want to quickly tell you what's next in terms of the agenda that's going on. So we have a lot of very interesting sessions when it comes to learning live. The maintenance one is also going to be starting very soon, and in the evening, don't miss the welcome reception. For tomorrow, I would highly recommend you're on time for the keynote. It is going to be fantastic. We've got some really incredible announcements we're making. Neil Cause will be on stage, our CEO and founder, and he'll be explaining a lot more in terms of the launches that Felipe kind of loosely told you about today. But we'll go into a lot more detail on that. And then we have further breakout sessions, the show floor open, and the closing reception. What we took away today was the vibe shift. So I think it's quite evident that it's not just about thinking about what you want to do. It's actually getting into the vibe shift and vibe coding. That's what helps you move quicker and gets into more intricate detail on specific things that you want to build. Things that are in production that we're already doing were some of the examples that the guys showed you earlier. That is just some examples of custom-made things that we've built, but our entire product itself is deeply embedded with AI, and we're building that throughout the span of the life cycle. And Geotab Ace, very interesting. I think you saw the hackathon winning video. That's on YouTube now, Felipe, isn't it? So you can view that. That's what real customers have actually done. I'm really interested in feedback as well from this session, because I think next time we can probably do another hackathon here. That would be great. 3 things to take home is that AI is not the future. It is here now, and I think everyone's using it. We've given you some kind of examples of what that could look like. Vibe coding really shifts your role, so you're not just writing what you want to build, you're writing what you want it to be and the outcome of that, and data via conversation, so it actually pulls fleet data and you can have a conversation with Ace now. So I would highly recommend you try that. If you want a more detailed demo, the team can show you some really strong demos. We could probably even log into your existing databases and show you a demo of what that could look like. And what's next? I think Felipe touched that already. So Felipe's page is also public and you can view that. We will share that across when we send the slides along. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. There are a lot more sessions going on. There's the closing reception. And thank you to Ron, Jorge, Eugen, and Felipe, who did most of the heavy lifting. Thank you.